Dear friends, my name is Nausheen Nizami, and in today's session, I am back with you to explain another topic of chapter 5, which is on income inequality. We are going to understand this concept by first knowing the definition. So, income inequality basically implies the difference in the shares of income between different individuals or different groups in a population. So, when there is a deviation between, say, the poor and the rich, in any economy, you can say that there is income inequality. So, inequality can happen not only in terms of income but in other aspects also. However, the session is going to mainly focus its attention on income inequality. Let's try to understand the various approaches which are used for measuring income inequality. So, the first approach is known as personal or size distribution of income. So, as per this approach, the individual persons, it is seen that how much income is received by individual persons or households and the total income that they receive. So, you divide national income, you basically divide, take a ratio of total national income with total population, and you see that how much each individual is getting. So if you use the simple formula, you will get per capita income. However, if you actually look at how much income is being received by each individual who is working, you will get a different data. So both of these approaches are used because they help us in giving actual income shares of each individual person or household. The second approach is known as functional or factor share distribution of income. Now, functional distribution of income basically means that you are dividing the population as per functions. So, functions can be, say, a group of teachers, or a group of doctors, or a group of engineers, or a group of managers, or a group of, say, plumbers, carpenters, okay, sales people. So you try to check the income share of these groups in terms of GDP, and when you are actually dividing the share of GDP as per the functions performed by the population, it's known as functional distribution of income. Similarly, factor share distribution of income is almost similar. However, here it can be more narrow measurement. So there are four factors of production, and you check that how much is the share of GDP going to labor, how much share of GDP is going to capital, how much share of GDP is going to land, how much share of GDP is going to entrepreneurs. So you basically divide the entire national income as per the share of factors of production. So these two approaches are more or less used commonly by many countries. Apart from that, the various methods which are used, some mathematical tools which are used to obtain data for this. We are going to limit our attention to quintiles and deciles only for this session. So, quintiles and deciles, as the term goes, what does it mean? So, whether you are talking about quintiles or deciles, it basically implies that you divide population into successive units, whether it is quintile or decile, according to ascending income level, and then determine the proportion of national income received by each income group. So quintiles is basically dividing the population into 5 parts, and deciles is dividing the population into 10 parts. So if you have 100% population, you make divisions of 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. So 5 parts, and supposingly the lowest 20% is representing the very poor people, and the top 20% is representing the richest people. In the middle are the middle income group. The common measure of income inequality is then comparing these, say, top 20% with the bottom 40% of the population. So that helps to check how much is the income inequality. Dividing the population into 4 parts gives you quartiles. Quartiles are somewhat different from quintiles, because quartiles are when you divide the population into 25%, 4 parts of 25%. So supposingly the first 25% is being represented by very poor to poor people. The second quartile may represent lower middle income class, the third quartile may have upper middle income class, and the fourth quartile may have the top, the very rich people. So when you divide the population into 4 parts and then look at how much share of national income is being earned by them, you may see a clear distinction between the incomes received by the poor and incomes received by the rich. Then we move to quintiles. So quintiles divides the entire data into 5 parts. So the first quintile, second, third, fourth, fifth is basically representing people who are from the lowest to the very rich. And in the middle you have the middle class, also subdivided into lower middle and upper middle. So when again you distribute national income as per quintiles, you will be able to see the gap between the very poor to very rich. Expenditure. So for you I have generated one example of expenditure quintiles. So the first three rows are same as was there in the previous slide, but in the last row I have put some data, and this is of expenditure quintiles. It means if we divide the population into 5 parts, from poor to very rich, how much is the share of expenditure being incurred by this section of the population. So the lowest which is the very poor to poor group, is spending only 8.4% of the total expenditure in the country. Low mid, which is medium income class, lower middle income class, is spending together these two, which is the first and second quintile, is spending 20.7% of the share of total expenditure. So these are cumulative shares. We keep on adding these figures. So if we have to check the figure of the second quintile, the actual figure, you have to take you have to basically subtract 8.4% from 20.7%. That will give you the actual expenditure being made by the second quintile. Otherwise this has been added. Moving to the third quintile, so we can see that nearly 16% addition of expenditure has happened in the third quintile. So together first, second, third quintiles of the population are spending 36.7% from the total expenditure. Similarly, adding the fourth quintile, the total expenditure being made by all the 4 quintiles is 58.5%. So you can say nearly 80% of the population is spending only 58.5% of the income, and rest it may be saving. And the last quintile, which is upper very rich, is actually spending the rest of it. So 100 minus 58.5%, that much is the expenditure. That much is the expenditure by the fifth quintile, which is nearly greater than 40%. So 40% expenditure is being made by the very rich people. So this is how you can find out the inequality in the expenditure pattern also as per quintiles, and this can also be used to compare income inequality. Similarly, if the population is divided into 10 parts, so say the first decile is representing very poor, which may be below poverty line. BPL stands for below poverty line. Second decile may be poor, not very poor, but poor. Third decile may be on the border of poverty line. So basically you arrange the entire population from very poor to very rich, and you're dividing the population into 10 parts. So you're comparing data of bottom 10% with the top 10%, which may be comparing data between very poor and very rich. This is the measurement of inequality as per decile approach. Let's look at some data which is not very recent data. It's of 1990s, but it's very important because it helps in analyzing the data of quintiles. So these are income distribution estimates in 1990s based on quintiles. So how much share of national income has been received by different quintiles. Again, the first quintile is very poor and fifth quintile is very rich. The middle group is third quintile, which may represent the middle income class. So you can see, if you start with Bangladesh, the very poor people were having only 9.4% of the share of total national income, while the very rich people were having 37.9% of the share of national income. So there is wide income inequality in Bangladesh as per this data. And in fifth quintile, this is basically 20%, top 20%. If we divide this top 20% into 2 parts, 10% each, so the highest 10% itself is getting 23.7% of the share of national income. So this basically helps in knowing the income inequality in detail. Moving to some other country, we may move to Colombia. So in Colombia, the first quintile is receiving only 3.1% of national income compared to 61.5% of national income received by the very rich population. And the share of top 10% from the 61.5, the share of top 10% is 46.9. So the top 10% of the population alone are getting 46.9% of the national income, which is nearly half of the national income is going to the top 10%. It shows so high income inequality. If you look at the case of India, the very poor were receiving 9.2% of total national income, and poor, or you can say low middle income group, was getting 13% of national income. Middle income group was getting 16.8% of national income. Upper middle income was getting 21.7% of national income, and top 20% of the population, which is the fifth quintile, was getting 39.3% of total national income. And we further subdividing the fifth quintile, top 10% of the population was getting 25%. That means a quarter of national income was being earned by the top 10% of the population. That is the inference you can draw from this data. So you can look at which countries are having the widest income inequality by comparing the figures in the first quintile with the fifth quintile. And wherever you find the maximum difference, you will find the inequality is highest. So this is how such data is used to infer income inequality. And let's continue this session. I'll be back with you to explain the other measures of income inequality. Till that time, all of you have a great day and have a great time ahead. Take care of your health. We'll meet again. Thank you very much.